Hello, and this is Filter Optional, and I am Chico West.
And I'm Shannon West.
And this is our show about me being the no filter.
And I am the filter. Always.
But really, the show's not about that. The show's about many more things than just our personalities.
Yeah, it'd be a short show.
It would be a very short show.
And we're done.
But this is a West Media production because we are the West.
Yes, we are.
And we got our producer, Kevin, here today.
Good to have you guys
Yes.
in the studio.
We like having Kevin because Kevin is talented. You know, we loved today. We've been doing a couple shows to air and just going, man, how can we help Kevin?
I had a rough morning though. Yeah, if you need me
Yes.
to get vulnerable.
I would. I mean, you had a bone coming out your jaw, isn't that right?
That is right. Yeah,
You know, and do you have the bone with you today?
I do.
Oh my goodness,
Did I
that
put that
is
on there? I don't know
that
if
is
that's
if you're
that is
listening, you
that
can't
is
see.
crazy.
That's crazy.
Yes, and so Kev just had his day was rough. The great thing is we have a little time and we can connect with them.
That's right.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, I saw Kevin yesterday because I had a busy day of work. Very fulfilling. You know.
Yes.
Okay, and today we got a couple podcasts and I have a couple appointments, but I like what you're doing today, Shannon. What are you going to do after this episode?
Well, I'm going to go hit some golf balls because I'm practicing I'm taking some lessons. And so practicing is my assignment, my homework assignment. So I'm going to go hit some balls.
What'd you do Sunday evening?
I played 9 holes of golf.
That was your first 9 holes
It was
of
my
golf?
first complete 9 holes, yes.
And so we had a great time.
I was in the sand a little more than I would have liked, but
we kind of pulled it out of the sand, you know.
That's
But
okay.
you did a little of everything. Although your putting on the last hole kind of sucked.
Well, I gave up. I mean, it was
Yes,
too
you
much.
did.
Too many eyes on me, and I just didn't care. I
Yes.
was ready to call it a day.
You were done. We were going to eat Mexican food. We played it with our buddies, Dayton and Julie Conklin. And it was great. I had more fun than you realize.
Good. I'm so glad.
You know, I got juiced about doing that. But I do have to share a little side notice. You've been taking golf lessons with Brad, and Brad was All-American at Texas. He played on the tour for, I think, 20 years, and now he's a teaching pro. And I go, Brad, how is it, doing lessons with Shannon, Kippy, and Julie? And he goes, in his first response, just a matter of time. I go, what do you mean by that? He goes, it's just a matter of time before Shannon has a better short game than you.
And everyone that Chico has told that story to said, well, that's not a real high bar.
Because that is the worst part of my game.
So, so I can't decide if it's like a dig to me or a compliment.
Yeah,
I
mean, it's
sure
like
how that-
it's like backhanded
just
both
a matter
ways.
Of
Yeah,
time
you're
before her short game,
And then I saw him the other, couple days later, and goes, just a matter. That's his new freaking little tagline.
I like it. Just a
Yes.
matter of time.
Just a matter of time. But I'm working on my short game. So.
We don't need to talk about.
But going back to our podcast, and we like doing this podcast, and we talk about a bunch of different topics. But we talk about this podcast isn't about our personalities, but I like today's topic.
I do too.
Is about what we are learning more about. We're going to get some more people on. I got my buddy David Henry introduced us, and I got a book. If you're watching, if you're not, it's The Path Between Us.
Also, the authors of.
which is funny. It's kind of see through on there because it's a green cover. But
Oh, it is kind of a green cover. Can you see it
Yeah,
better
oh, yeah.
right there?
Yeah, that's funny.
That is.
And then also the author of The Road Back to You, which was my first Enneagram book that I bought.
No,
and-
she
on my
wrote the
Kindle.
foreword to The Road Back to You.
Oh, she did. Okay.
Yeah,
Well.
Ian Crom wrote The Road Back to You.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, anyway, we don't need to talk about the books right now because what we kind of want to talk about is now the more that I dive into the Enneagram, first of all, the Enneagram is just a personality test. Okay, you know how on Facebook.
Well, I would-
Hang on, wait. Let me just finish. I'm just giving an overview. Okay. I'm not going to get too in the weeds about it. I just want people to not be afraid of listening to the rest of this discussion. Okay.
Yes.
Fair. So, it is a personality test. Okay. And we take all those tests. I know you all out there take all those tests on Facebook, like, if your favorite color is green, what does that say about your personality? Like, you take all those little quizzes just to see, what are you going to look like as an old lady, or what are you going to, whatever. Okay. So
What Harry Potter character are you?
yes, exactly. And the kids do all those Instagrams and challenges and TikTok challenges and whatever, all that stuff. So the Enneagram it's a personality test that you take, and you can take one for free online. You can find it if you just Google. It's ENNEAGRAM, Enneagram.
Now, can I
And
I
just
gotta
real quick.
interrupt you because
Just
it's
real
not.
quick.
It's not. There are Enneagram tests, but it's actually types. There's 9 types, so it's not a
I'm getting
test.
there. I'm getting there.
Okay.
It is a test you take.
You can take the test, but the Enneagram is not a test.
No, it's not a test, but you have.
Semantics.
I am getting. You know me. That's just
I
me,
know.
the challenger.
It is you take a personality test to find out your Enneagram type.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
So what I was going to say is that you can find tests online that are just free that will give you a basic, like a ballpark of what your type is and everything. Or the Enneagram Institute, it actually sells a $12 test that is really pretty good. So I had my kids take the $12 test, and you take it, and I took it just to see, and it did say the same thing as the free test. But anyway, so there are 9 types. And I have now become so, like, I guess kind of obsessed with finding out people in my life's types, because it helps me to understand them better. And so I find I talk to people and, with type, like, I'm like, oh, well, of course, she's handling this situation like that because she's a 3, and so that's what 3s do and whatever, and I'm a 2, and I wouldn't handle it that way, but I have grace for her because she's handling it that way because of her number. So there are 9 types.
Yes.
After you take this personality test, you can find out your type.
But also, you don't have to actually take the test to
You
find
don't.
out your type.
You
Because
don't.
some people that have really studied it a lot more than us, like Ian Crom has a podcast, Beatrice Chestnut, Suzanne Stabile is, who sent us these books. They know a lot more about this than us. We're still newbies, but if you read
major newbies.
if you read back The Road Back to You, you can read that book and really figure out your type without even taking a test. But if you don't want to read the whole book, the best thing to do is take one of those tests.
Well, it can be overwhelming, and so I think a lot of people think it's a nice place to start to know your number, because your type, because that's how I started. I figured out my type, and then I would read about my type only, and I thought, how am I ever going to absorb information about other types? But you start to kind of figure it out.
But that's where
It's
I
kind
think
of
we're still a newbie.
a game. It's
I
kind
think
of a
we're
game.
a newbie, but we're also a little further than the newbie than just taking your type and just studying about you. Because the more I can know me, but to know your type and how you interact really helps me interact with you better, and vice
Right.
versa.
And I love it. I mean, when I first meet someone and they just happen to know their Enneagram number, I know enough now to know if I meet someone and it comes up and they're like, oh yeah, I'm an 8. I'm like, you are? And I just automatically know a little bit more about them and how to not manage them, but that's not the right word, but
how to communicate with them
better and
Yes.
in a more healthy manner.
Yeah, because if you're with an 8, you want to be direct and to the point.
Right. So let me just read out kind of what the types are real
Okay,
quick.
can we? Yeah,
The
real
label.
quick, but
Yeah.
let's just go through each one and pause. Okay.
You want to go through each one and pause. Okay.
Yes.
So you have type 1, the perfectionist.
Or some people call the reformer, because the people that are ones don't like the word perfectionist.
Right.
They're really the reformer.
Agreed. They
The
hear
rational,
And
idealistic.
most people, just to let you know, don't love their number when they figure it out. They almost can't deny it when they read about themselves, but they're also like, why did I get the bad one? I think pretty much everybody thinks that their number is bad, because when you're first learning about it, you learn about if you're operating in an unhealthy way, or a healthy way within your personality type or Enneagram type. And if you're operating in an unhealthy manner, then the things that you are reading about yourself are not super flattering. They're not super whatever, but that's
Because
how
you might be
move.
reading into the unhealthy part, but then you look at yours and you look at everybody else's and you go, oh, no, that's good. Because the perfectionist, some people call the
So
perfectionist
they're
a
all
one.
good. They're
Yes.
just different. Okay.
The one that some people call the perfectionist, but they don't. It's really the reformer. They're rational, idealistic. Their type is principled, purposeful, self-controlled, and perfectionistic. And so that's the one. Okay.
Yeah.
So go on.
And if you have I always say that if you have like a builder or a painter, somebody that's doing a job for you, don't you want a perfectionist? Like when that's
doctor.
It's not a right. It's not a bad word.
surgeon.
But I do think that people tend to think it's a bad word if they're operating in an unhealthy manner. But I think I want a perfectionist on most
But
projects
I
and things like that.
actually
anyway.
like that,
But I
they-
like the
they-
reformer too.
They
Yeah.
they kind of changed it to the reformer. Like I hope Kevin wanted the reformer / perfectionist when he was operating on his jaw today.
Right. Exactly. I mean, yeah. Anyway.
Seemed like he'd done it many times, though. I think he could have done it with his eyes closed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. Making that money. Okay. So that's one. And then 2 is it says on that and there's lots of different information, the giver, but I've always known a 2 as the helper.
That's what I know the 2 as, the helper. They're caring, interpersonal type, demonstrative, genuineness, people pleasing, and possessive.
Yeah. Demonstrative.
Demonstrative.
Because I am a 2.
You are demonstrative. For sure. You are caring and you're generous and people pleasing, and possessive.
Possessive. Which can, kind of have you can be like, oh, well, I don't want to be possessive. That sounds psycho. But in a healthy way, I guess, possessive can be fine.
Yes. Yes. I don't know. You kind of give me that look, but go ahead.
Anyway, so, and then 3 is the achiever.
Yes. The success-oriented, the pragmatic, the adaptive, excelling, driven, imagine conscious.
Yes.
You see our oldest as this.
I think he might be a 3. I think Travis
I think he is very success-oriented.
And Beck is a 2 because he took the test, and I had labeled him a 7, which we'll get there. But it turns out he took the test because he likes that stuff just like I do, because we're both 2s. So it's interesting.
Yes.
It's just interesting. Now I see where his compassion comes from. Like, he kind of doesn't put up with BS very well. Like, he can tell he's always had a radar for an adult that's BSing him, even when he was very little. And so, which kind of made me think he was more of a challenger, or skeptic, or enthusiast, or whatever. But he also has this very he wants to help. He's a helper. He has a very compassionate side. Anyway. And then Travis, type 3, I think, because he can be an
very
overachiever.
success oriented. He is pragmatic. He's adaptive, excelling, driven.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay. And then you have the type 4, the individualist.
the sensitive, withdrawn, expressive, dramatic, self-absorbed, and temperamental.
And I find that a lot of really artists and really creative musicians, people like that are 4s, because they appear to be self-absorbed
They get so self-focused.
because their
They're just, boom.
creativity comes from their body. Like it
Yes.
comes from themselves, and it's all within themselves, and they have to get this creativity out and everything. So I find that 4s are really creative people.
Yes.
It's one of my lowest because they'll rank your numbers when you take the test, and it's one of my lowest because I don't have a creative bone in my body, really. I actually don't. But
No.
okay, so then you have 5, the investigator. These are your smart people.
Yes. The intense cerebral type, perceptive, innovative, secretive, and isolated.
It's because they have trouble trusting anything that's not that they haven't read or studied or
Examined.
right.
But they love to do those things, so that's in their nature. I mean, if you look at Bill Gates is a 5 off the charts. I mean, it reads and reads and reads and reads. I think my dad, Ed, was a 5.
Yeah.
He was always, devouring that
seeking
stuff.
knowledge, and so they have trouble carrying on. The reason they can be isolated, I think, is because they have trouble carrying on just nothing conversations. Small
Yes.
talk is not their thing. Mingling, meet
Yes.
and greets, not their thing.
Yeah.
Like
but if they do get with you, I mean, they're inquisitive. They're gonna ask the investigator. I mean, whenever my dad would come in town before
Yes.
he passed away, he would ask my friends 20,000 questions
about themselves, which is
Yes.
a great quality. It's a great quality, and so that's the best part about knowing your number too. Is that if you know that about yourself, that you're an investigator, and that you prefer to, then you have meaningful conversations with people.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well,
That's a healthy,
Let's go through that, but we'll come back to those things.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
So
no.
what's
6, type 6, the skeptic or loyalist.
Yes, I like loyalist.
I do too.
I
Skeptic
hear
is
skeptic. Committed, security oriented, engaging, responsible, anxious, and suspicious.
Yes.
And so
Which
definitely
is the skeptic part.
that is that skeptic or loyalist.
I have lots of people in my life that are 6s.
Oh my goodness.
And it helps me so much. And it helps.
Understand, but let's get back to
Yes.
that. Let's
Okay.
keep going.
Okay. And so then you have the type 7, the enthusiast.
Oh, the busy, fun-loving type, spontaneous, versatile, distractible, and scattered.
Yeah. Yep. And then we have 8, the challenger.
The powerful, dominating type, self-confident, decisive, willful, confrontational.
That's Chico.
Hello, everybody. I
That's too
am the
loud.
challenger.
Yes. He's an 8.
I am
For
not
sure. And I usually think
8
that
with a 9
I
wing.
usually think that 8s. No, you were not an 8 with a 9.
Chico
wing.
and I had a very typical 3 and 8 interaction
Yes,
this
you
morning
did.
when I got
Yes,
You did. Bam!
Yes, you did. Yep. Yeah, you did. We might need to share it. I mean,
Yes.
whatever. But so then we have 9, and that's the peacemaker.
Easygoing, self-effacing type. Receptive, reassuring, agreeable, complacent.
Yep. Okay. So
You have this whole framework. You have 9 types. Where a lot of the personality tests came from the 16 PF. So there were 16 types, and then you look at Myers-Briggs, and Myers-Briggs had they had 16 types also.
Right.
8 and 8.
and people may not be familiar with Myers-Briggs, but
Yeah.
it was good too. I mean, I know
Yeah.
what I am. I'm an ENFJ, so
Yes.
Yeah.
And so those things are good. I like. It's crazy the Enneagram. What I like about it is the simplicity, but it's complex. because there is these wings and you have these offshoots, and then you have, the
Well,
we listened to Beatrice when we were going down to Florida, and she was just talking about her and Ian Crum were talking about the offshoot. It's not a wing, but it's the superpowers and subtypes. Yes.
but we aren't going to get there. But so it is. You're right. It's simple, but it's complicated, and it gets very overwhelming sometimes for people but that's why it's kind of, you can kind of make it fun, like trying to figure
kind of
out,
chew it up in small bites.
yes, and figure out what what people are and what
So first, what we recommend is understanding, okay, what your type is, and do some research on that, and then look at it. If you take one of these tests that give you your Enneagram type, that's good. And some of those tests, like the one that Shannon got for everybody, it'll talk about the unhealthy 2s, unhealthy 3s.
it gives you a report
Yes.
at the end. And I just want to explain one other thing real quick. So there are 9 types. So you will take the test, and it'll give you a score, like my type 2 is, say, 18 or whatever, and then it might be I think type 6 is my second with a score of like 16 or whatever, and then type 3 is like my third or whatever. Well, your wing, when they talk about wings, because you'll hear a lot of talk about wings, I thought it was your second number, but it's not. It's going to be the one that's next to your number. Either my wing can only be a 1 or a 3 because I'm a 2. So it has to be, the wing has to be a number on.
But a 1 and a 9's wings will only be a 9 for a 1 or a 2 for a 1. The
Right.
wings are going to be a 2 or a 9.
Right.
A 9 will be either a 9
like
and
a
an
big
8
circle, yeah.
or
Yes.
a 9 and a 1.
Correct.
Yes.
So, but you look, when you look at your scores, you just find your wing by, it's just the next one in line. Like, your wing might be a few down, but
I'm an 8 with an 8 wing.
yeah, probably. I don't know how that works, but probably.
No, but the great thing is, so the more you understand yourself, I'm an 8 with a 7 wing, but the more you understand who you are, and then you start exploring these other types. The great thing is, like, one of my dear friends that I've spent a lot of time with, Kurt Neal, is a 4.
Yeah.
And so seeing
that makes sense.
Oh,
He's a
my
film
God.
producer, creative.
Yeah, the individualist and stuff like that, and you see him. He sometimes gets self-absorbed when he gets in these films, and you can take it personal when that's just how he's just going through life.
Right.
And so it's like, man, understanding that now, it's like that's who he is, and man, he can get hyper focused on certain topics, but that's that individualistic mindset, and it's like. At times, when Kurt and I were spending, he discipled me for 20 years, and I would come back and I would take on some of that stuff instead of, now it's like I can see, okay, man, those are his gifts. We're different. That's his type.
Right.
And
it's
so,
okay. It allows people to be, you're always telling me throughout our entire marriage, you've always, and if you've gotten frustrated, you're like, just let me be me. Just let me be me. I just feel like you won't let me be me. And I'm like, because you kind of suck.
damn. You're finally, though, in the last year.
But sometimes
kinda.
you can be a lot. And it takes me, my personality type is very relationships mean everything to me. And if I have a awkward relationship, or if I have conflict or anything in a relationship, it really affects me. And so I want to reel that back in however I can. And if I feel like you are, because you're a challenger, are going to affect my relationship with somebody, it makes me nervous, and I want to shut you down.
But we said
And
on the
you're like,
last
"Just let me
episode,
be
you
me."
just said on the last episode when I gave the Larry David analogy about me, you said I just got to let him be him.
Well, now I've realized that, you just aren't an appendage of, you aren't an extension of me. I'm not responsible for your actions or conflict, and hopefully they won't affect my relationships. But if you are like Larry David and we end up with no friends, that it will affect me. So, anyway, but
Larry David does have friends. Leon.
yes, yeah.
Leon
He
likes
loses
Larry David.
he loses them slowly but surely.
Jeff still likes him.
Anyway, okay, so we're not talking about that, but
But understanding me, I love what Suzanne says here. But any kind of pause is difficult for eights since they want to have control over what's happening inside of them and in the world. Sometimes eights act too quickly, leaving no room for other perspectives or to allow others to offer what they have to give. I am understanding that more and more about myself is like, I do have to pause. I've been given a gift, in my recovery because I love this statement, pause when agitated or doubtful. I got to really work harder than a 4 or a 5 in pausing. They are good at pausing. Also, a 1's good at pausing and a 9.
yes.
I got pause trouble.
Yes. 2s, 3s,
Yeah,
6,
3s.
7s,
Yeah,
and
right.
8s have trouble pausing.
And so here's this interesting little tidbit I'm going to go ahead and throw in here now that we're talking about it. There are, among the 9 types, there are 3, they're divided among 3 different types, a heart type, head type, and body type. Okay.
I'm the body.
So heart types are 2, 3, and 4. Okay.
Hello.
So that's Kevin and me, and then the 4s, the Kurt Neals and creative people. So what it says about those is heart types react with emotions first. They connect with other people on an empathetic level and make sense of the world by understanding their feelings about it. These types are guided by the feelings connected to their emotional relationships with other people. They value things such as emotional support, recognition, and inclusion. Okay, so for example,
Can I pause you?
yes.
I think you're beginning to see that because I do believe they connect with recognition. Sometimes, though, 2s also struggle with getting recognition.
Okay, I was going to explain this. So I am the football liaison for Woodrow Football, which
For the moms.
No, I'm the football liaison.
Okay.
From the booster club I'm the kind of the go-between between the coach and the booster club and tell the booster club what the needs are of the coach and everything, and I kind of do that. And I am kind of over the team moms for freshman, JV, and varsity. I keep the team moms for all 3 of those teams organized and in place and whatever. So I had a football mom 101 meeting last night because I am a heart type. I want to connect with these moms over these feelings of their children playing football because there's a lot of emotion that goes along with that.
Bam.
If they get hurt, if they, don't get to play, if they,
If their position gets changed.
if their position gets changed, and moms have a hard time managing that. If they get angry or if they whatever, they don't need to run to the coach. So
Okay.
I felt like I needed. Quit trying to move me along.
All right. I won't.
So I felt this strong need to connect with other moms on an emotional level to let them know that I emotionally supported them. And then it's like you said, I don't need the recognition for being like the football guru that I think I am. But see, he's looking at his notes. He's going to try to call me out. But
These types are, they value things such as emotional support, recognition, and inclusion. They value that. You just read it. I'm just going off what you just read.
I do value
You just
that.
said, I don't need recognition. You value that.
Okay, so
So what?
so whatever.
You do value
Okay,
it.
I do. Okay, so but
And the more you can embrace that, that's the healthier you can get.
we're about to get to you. So, but it's how if people know that I am a 2 and a heart type, and they're sitting there and they're an 8 in that meeting, what I'm saying is that they can still connect with me. It just may not be, they may just not be as emotional about it as I am. Like, and I'm okay with that 8 sitting in the audience not connecting with me emotionally because I'm aware of it now. I used to get upset when people wouldn't emotionally connect with me, because I couldn't understand it. I'm like, why are you not emotionally connecting with me? Like, why are feelings not important to you? Okay, so then you have the head types, and that's 5, 6, and 7. Okay? It says the head types react with analysis first. They connect with other people on an intellectual level and make sense of the world by understanding the systems and theories that underlie what they observe. These types are primarily focused on control, which they gain by maintaining stability, security, and competence. Okay, so one of my best friends is a 7, and one of my best friends is a 6. And like I said, I have a lot of 6s in my life. They ask so many questions. And nonstop, and they value stability and competence. They value competence because the more they know, the more secure they feel, and they can stand on that. And somebody like me just does not need that, really. I just don't need that. And it's kind of like when it goes back to our spiritual gifts. We took those, there are spiritual gift tests that you can take too. And one of my highest is faith, because I'm a heart type, and I go on feeling and faith and whatever. And if I were a head type, that probably wouldn't be the top of my spiritual gift. Okay. So then we have the body types. This is your 8s, 9s, and 1s.
Hello.
Okay. Body types react with an instinctive gut feeling. They connect.
Bam.
They connect with other people based on their physical sense of comfort and make sense of the world by sensing their body's reaction to what is happening. The primary drive for this triad is to maintain their independence and limit control from outside influences. They respond by being either over-controlling, overly passive, or overly perfectionist. Okay, so types 8, 9, and 1 could kind of not be more different, but they're saying the 8 is going to be overly controlling. The 9 is going to be overly passive. The 8 is never going to be overly passive. But
I think so. I think sometimes the unhealthy 8 will be passive
aggressive. Yes, okay.
They'll be overly passive but aggressive internally.
Okay.
But what it is saying, okay, they might be different in, it's your challenger, it's your peacemaker, it's your reformer or perfectionist. But what it's saying is, like, I like this because it's talking about, hey, you're leading with the heart, the 2s, 3s, and 4s. The 5, 6, and 7s, are leading with the head. Hey, give me evidence.
Right.
Okay. The 8s, which I can speak of personally.
Yes.
Is truly, it's like that gut instinct. It's like,
yes.
I really know I have a good gut instinct. There's times I don't, but that's what I'm going on. Is like my gut's telling me this, and lots of times it's freaking right.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so it works real well over there in that office.
Yeah.
It works well that I can call, call a spade a spade. Speak truth in love.
Right.
That's my little mantra. And it for the heart type, it's like, hey, I don't want that. No. I gotta work on connecting with that heart type.
Because it feels like conflict. When it doesn't feel like conflict to you. It's like I get
stimulated.
Yes.
But it's react with that instinctive gut feeling.
Yes.
Comfort, world sensing body reactions and what is happening, I can pick up on those things. Those are the good things. I like this. This is Shannon. I'm excited. I'm excited getting Susan Stabile to come in. I might be saying her name wrong.
Probably, but
I apologize if she's listening. But then I think about other people. I love what David Henry said is like, how do we understand the Enneagrams with people in recovery, from short-term early recovery to a long-term recovery, and really expand on that stuff. I love that idea. I sent a picture out before you came in. Kind of want to end with this. Is if you're, most people don't watch, but if you're watching, we changed wardrobes, and I left my shirt off just to see your reaction. So I was just a giant hairy chest.
Yeah, okay. Well, that I don't
sitting
even know
here.
why you're ending on
And
that.
I got a picture of it.
Yes.
Yes.
But this was a good
Pete.
couple episodes. Thank you,
Well,
K-Man.
let's talk more about this because I think it's a great topic.
Yes, I got a homework
it.
assignment for you.
What?
I want you to read this book when you're in California.
No, I'm taking my novel, my fiction novel that I want to read. You can't make me do anything.
If you do watch us, though, give us a subscribe on YouTube, please.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
K-Man.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right.